Good morning, and welcome to Hometown Values with Shoreline Hometown Credit Union, a weekly 5-minute feature here on the Lakeshore's Good Neighbor, WOMT.
Hometown Values, Hometown Rewards.
Welcome back, listeners, to Hometown Values here on WOMT. Every week, we got Kyle from Shoreline. Kyle, good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, Terry. How you doing, man?
I have no complaints. Question for you. Need you to visualize this question.
Okay.
What is brown and sticky? Yeah.
Honey?
A stick.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah,
There's a genuine
it is
smile.
brown and
there,
sticky.
There we go. There
Yep.
we go.
All right. Well done.
I feel like I was going to be a checkbox and I made you genuinely laugh.
So now I'm just going to name every joke you say, I'm going to say stick as
Why
the
is
answer.
that? You know, like that's the first one I've ever told you about, a stick.
Right.
But
Well, see how it plays out.
we have a special guest in the studio, Kyle.
Yeah, I brought in Andrea today. We've been doing that mortgage, the process of mortgage, right?
Yeah.
For new home buyers or people. It's not something you do often in life. So we want to keep you informed and get as much information to you as possible. So I brought Andrea to continue the process of what it looks like to purchase a home.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Excellent. Okay, so what is the next process in this whole mortgage situation over at Shoreline?
All right. Well, so far we kind of talked about the pre-approval process, putting in that offer, and then getting your initial disclosures to you and getting those signed. So the next process is getting this off to underwriting. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to ask you for some additional documentation. So we want to verify everything that you've told us in your pre-approval is actually accurate.
You mean some people may not be truthful in that? And if so, you'll find out?
Yes.
It's not always intentionally, right?
They over-exaggerate a little bit, or, the cash is under their mattress, which doesn't necessarily count as much. So, we need to verify everything that you're saying that you have and just verify that everything matches with what our numbers come out to be. So some of those things that we're going to look for are pay stubs. We're going to look for your W-2s, generally for the last 2 years. Bank statements. We want to see where your down payment's coming from. Is it coming from a financial institution? Do you have stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, things like that, where it could be coming from? We need to verify that there's enough there to cover your down payment and your closing costs.
Sure.
Other things that we'll look for, we need to get proof of insurance sometime prior to closing. If you're a first-time home buyer, you're going to have to do some home buyer education. So you can do that online. We'll guide you kind of through that process. But basically, you go out, do a class, and you'll get a certificate stating that you have graduated from the course and you've learned all that you need to learn.
And is that something that you guys created yourself? I've not heard of that.
Nope, this is not something that we created ourselves. This is a program that's online. It's sponsored by the government, I believe.
Okay.
And basically it walks them through a lot of this process that we're talking about here on this show, but talks them through the whole process of kind of pre-approvals, of making an offer, of what you're going to be required to provide to your lender, things like that. What are acceptable closing costs? So it kind of just walks you through that whole process to make sure that you're fully educated in the process and you don't get taken by, someone.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you guys are always thinking about how to serve the members, and this is just another way of protecting them.
Mm-hmm. Getting them educated, making sure they know what they're doing.
Okay.
We want them to definitely be in those shoes. Some of the other things we might look for would be if they have credit issues in the past, we might want a letter explaining what those credit issues were caused by. In this process also is once we get those documents and verified all the information, that's when it's going to start moving into the processing role. So that's when we're going to look at if they want to get an inspection, they have that option to do it at that point. This is also where we're going to order an appraisal.
So do you guys, when it comes to inspections right now, because I know a lot of people are opting out not to do that. I personally would have a hard time buying a house not having it inspected. Is that something that is required nowadays from a lending standpoint?
Nope, the inspection is completely up to the buyer, and you are absolutely correct. Nowadays, in this market, with things going as fast as they are, people are not putting home inspections in theirs, probably not in their best interest, but they're having to do that in order to get their offer accepted. So I am seeing a little bit more often now that people are putting the home inspection in there, but it's not contingent on that. So if something would come back on the home inspection, that buyer is still going to need to buy the house. So they can't go back and negotiate that price or, change anything anything about the offer, but at least lets them know what they're going to need to address in the future.
Got it. Great information here. Time is running out on today's program. You guys, thank you for sharing all this with our listeners. Thank you, Andrea, for being with us. Kyle, for people who want to connect with Shoreline, what's the best way of reaching out to you?
Yeah, for any of your mortgage questions needs, head to shorelinecu.org.
We'll talk to you again next week here on WOMT.
Thanks for listening to Hometown Values with Shoreline Hometown Credit Union. Tune in again next Friday morning at approximately 11:20 for another episode, or download the podcast anytime at WOMTradio.com. Shoreline Hometown Credit Union, your local hometown credit union focusing on hometown values. Hometown Rewards. You're listening to a C. Hafer broadcasting station.
Shoreline Hometown Credit Union. Hometown values, hometown rewards.